So we're going to start off with a video as we let some of our colleagues join in, and then we're going to get straight into the crux of the day. I'm hoping that as you join this session, you're coming in with lots of questions. I am going to share quite a lot in terms of the slides, but we will share the slides with you. So use this session rather to listen. You will get the slides, and use this session also to ask questions. Like I said, let's start off with a video that will set the tone for the day.
If you're watching this, chances are good you want to get a job. You want to go from student to rising star, and you want to avoid eating the same meal over and over and over again. Good news, you're in the right place. That's right, LinkedIn. It's not just for top executives. It's not just for old people with heavy briefcases. It's for you, and it's the perfect place for you to start your professional story. Say you want to get a job in New York City. You've never been there before, but that's okay because you have LinkedIn on your side. Start by creating your profile. You give it love because you know it's what recruiters are looking for day and night. It's your resume that never sleeps. It's your flashing neon sign that says, hire me, for the love of all that is good in this world, hire me. Then you start making connections. Alumni working in New York? Yes. Recruiters at top companies in New York? Yes. Your mom's best friend? Yes. You start imagining whose shoes you want to walk in. You think, wow, this is a lot of deep stuff to consider. You shake yourself out of it and start searching for jobs. Whoa, that's a lot of jobs for students. Time to get down to business. You start to tailor your profile. You start applying. You feel empowered, in control, like you should be CEO. That gives you an idea. You look up all the CEOs of all the companies you want to work at. You see one of them went to your university. Then it hits you. You see a clear path from campus to career. You feel like you can see the future. You wonder if you're psychic. Should you start a hotline? No, back to plan A. You keep tailoring and connecting and applying, and before you know it, you start getting responses. First a few, then more, then an interview, and then you're hired. And that's when the real learning begins. The practice of job.
Ivy, over to you for the intro, and then we can get started on the session.
Sure, thanks, Stewart. My name is Ivy Mudhoni. I work in the careers office at Strathmore. And today we're going to have a LinkedIn webinar. We will hear from Stewart Samkange, who's the head of Africa, Central and Eastern Europe, as well as South and Eastern Europe for LinkedIn Academics Talent Solutions. So he's going to give us pointers on how to work on our LinkedIn profile, how to get noticed by recruiters, and how to make connections that actually add value to your career and to what you want to do in the future. So Stewart, over to you.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear me and that everybody can see the screen where we've got our presentation slides, and where, of course, I'm going to be using that to guide our discussion today. As introduced, my name is Stewart Samkange from Zimbabwe and currently living in Dublin, Ireland. I've been with LinkedIn now for the last 4 years. And really, I joined LinkedIn because I really believe in the company's proposition, which is really to help make the world's professionals more productive and more successful by getting access to new economic opportunities. At LinkedIn, currently, I head up LinkedIn's academic talent solutions business and cover Africa, Central and Southern Eastern Europe. So the session today is really about you and how you can leverage LinkedIn either as a student or as an alumni to actually go out there and find new economic opportunities. The session today, I'll talk about how to do job hunting and how to network. I'll talk about how to make connections, how to grow your own profile and to be noticed. Of course, economic opportunities do not just stop with jobs, but also some of you have aspirations to become entrepreneurs. So some of the tips I'll be sharing today will speak to those who have aspirations to find jobs and also those who have aspirations to be entrepreneurs and how they can leverage LinkedIn to make those connections that really matter. So if we go into the outline of the day and how we will go about this, like I said, I've got a couple of slides that I will be using to talk us through this, and that you are going to get the slides and that you'll be able to go through them in a little bit more detail. I'm also going to be providing you some free resources. So stay on until the end of this session where you'll get access to resources that can start your journey on LinkedIn. So with that said, let's get straight into it so that we have enough time for questions and answers. Let's start off by discussing why LinkedIn and what are your benefits as a student or as an alumni by being on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is not just a place where you go when you're looking for a job. I believe your LinkedIn profile will carry you as you transition into the world of work, and even as you transition out of the world of work and go into retirement later on in your career. Why? Because again, on the same platform, not only will you get the opportunities to get the jobs, to start being an entrepreneur, but when you retire, this is the same platform where people will look you up, professionals, to invite you to be members of the board, to invite you to co-host, to write books, to write articles, to feature. There's so many economic opportunities. So this is a profile that carries you throughout your professional journey. It's not a place we go in, we put in our profiles and walk away. So the number one thing for me is that this is going to be the platform where the stakeholders that you need in order to be successful will find you. This is where your buyers, your CFOs, your purchasing managers, your HR directors, this is where they come to get information that helps them or to get services and products that you offer on a professional platform. So number one, I think that's the one benefit about it, is that it carries you throughout your working career. Number two, we also give you a couple of tools to help you on that journey. So whether it's job hunting, whether it's preparing for an interview, preparing for an application, this is the one platform where you can do some research that is going to help you stand out. Get to know the people you're likely to work with, get to know the people you're likely to report to, get to know what matters in this particular industry that you're trying to join. Oftentimes when we go for interviews, we know enough about the job, but we don't know enough about the personalities behind the job, the people who are going to be hiring us, the people who are going to be interviewing us, or even that organization, what it stands for, the challenges that it has, and the things that you will bring into that world of work to help you, to help them resolve the challenges that they have. It's also a great place for us to network. It's a professional platform. So the content that we share on LinkedIn varies from the other platforms that we have. So we have other social media platforms where we go in to spend time, right? To be enlightened, to find joy, etc. LinkedIn can also be that place, but we tend to do it more with a professional tone. So this is a great place for you to network, to connect up with those who are like-minded professionals like yourself. Number three, this is a place where we go in to grow, a place where we go in to learn. And when I talk about growing and learning, it's a lifelong journey for each and every one of us to continue to invest in ourselves. On LinkedIn, you have the opportunity not only to create your profile, but you also have the opportunity to read and understand how other people have journeyed and ended up in the areas that they're in. But you also have an amazing opportunity to join groups on LinkedIn for like-minded professionals, whether by industry vertical, by job title, or by topics. So I encourage you, as you spend time on LinkedIn, to join up in the groups that are for the professionals that you want to be associated with. Go in there to learn, to understand what are the things that people are posting, what are the challenges, what are the trends, what are the skills that they're growing, so that ultimately when you have that opportunity to be interviewed or to start sharing content, you're sharing things that are relevant and things that matter to that particular industry or sector. So our newsfeed is super important. The newsfeed, I used there a bit of a technical term. What is the newsfeed? Well, as you open up your LinkedIn every day, you tend to see content that shows up. How does that content end up on your particular newsfeed or timeline, as they call it on other platforms? It shows up basically based on who you're following. So we need to be intentional about the people that we follow on LinkedIn. We need to be intentional about the companies that we're following so that the newsfeed serves us as individuals, right? A lot of people, when they wake up first thing in the morning, they reach out for their phones. And as you reach out for your phones, you will see on your LinkedIn a feed content that's coming from those that you want to connect with, or organizations that you're particularly keen to join and work for. So it's important that we're intentional about who we follow and, of course, the organizations that we choose to follow. And then lastly, LinkedIn, of course, as you well know, or at least as some of you will know, LinkedIn, of course, has a learning platform. And what makes LinkedIn stand out from other learning platforms is, of course, we as LinkedIn have, of course, the jobs and the vacancies that are being posted on our platform. We're using those insights to understand what are the skills companies are looking for. And having understood that, LinkedIn then curates and produces content. Well over 17,000 pieces of courses are available on LinkedIn Learning, and I'll dive deep into that as we go through our presentation. But why is it important to invest in those courses and those additional learnings? It's important because I will explain in the course of our session how recruiters search for people. Yes, you might have done a degree program with the university, and thank you for investing in yourself. But of course, when our recruiters are searching, they don't only search by the degree program. They go down and start searching for specific skills that might have been covered in your degree course, but are not showing up on your profile. So ultimately, we want to invest in the skills and have those skills showing up on our profile, and also to be able to tell the world how we're continuing to invest in ourselves beyond the formal education that we have acquired while we're here at Strathmore University, or when we were at Strathmore University if you're alumni. And where does that journey start? I talked, of course, about first thing in the morning, we all reach out to our mobile phones to see what's happening in the world around us. Whether you're using Apple or using Android, LinkedIn is available on those platforms, and it is available for free. So as we talk about LinkedIn, as we talk about building our own profiles, let's also understand that those who interact with us on this platform, chances are most of them will start off interacting with us using mobile devices. So we need to keep that in mind in terms of the content that we post, the profile picture that we have, and all the things that we're posting, knowing that people are interacting with us with mobile devices. So we need to be succinct, we need to be to the point, and of course, you need to use the environment to give other people an opportunity to engage with us. So if you haven't got a LinkedIn profile yet, I definitely encourage you to start the journey today. And hopefully at the end of this session, those who have already created their profiles will use the information we share in this session to actually go back and make some edits and changes so that we stand out better. So why have a LinkedIn profile, right? And what do you need to have on your LinkedIn profile? I think oftentimes when I've run these sessions, I've been running the graduate activation program for the last 3 years. When we've had these discussions with students or alumni in the past, there's always been the first question has been, what's the difference between having a resume and of course having a LinkedIn digital profile? Well, I'll answer that one upfront before we get to the Q&A. The difference is this. A resume is a static document. Yes, our HR managers and HR recruiters, some of them will still ask you for a formal resume document, but like you know yourself, a resume document tends to be static, right? It tends to be based on that particular job or the information that you've shared in that hard copy. What we're ultimately looking for is to create a digital billboard for the story of us. Why do I say it's a digital billboard? It's a digital billboard because you can continue to update it, you can continue to change it as your aspirations change, as your career journey changes, as you continue to invest in yourself. So I just wanted to answer that question upfront in terms of what is the difference between my resume and my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn profile is digitally dynamic. As I keep adding skills, those will start showing up. As I connect to people, as I receive recommendations, endorsements from people who know me, those will all continue to tell a story of who I am. And if you think about your resume, most people will have references added to their resume document. They'll have references or recommendations. While on LinkedIn, this is live. So when you receive recommendations, whether it's from the professor or a faculty leader or fellow students or places where you've done internships, those will speak volumes about you. And what that means is you're making the job of the recruiter much easier, because not only can they look up and see what your career journey has been, but at the same time, they're getting to see the sort of people you associate with. And those people are telling the story of the unique skills and value that you have brought when they've worked with you in the past. So it's dynamic, it's digital, it's live, and you're making the job of our recruiters much easier. In terms of setting up the profile itself, I just really wanted to cover 7 things that I think are absolutely essential. Number 1, it starts off with your profile photograph. I bet you most of you didn't think I'd start there. It starts off with the image that you put of yourself. And like we said, most people are interacting with us using mobile devices. So what makes a great profile photograph? Maybe 60 to 80% of that should really be around you, your face. Yeah. So warm, welcoming smile sometimes helps break through and helps people authentically connect with yourself. Now, I've seen on some LinkedIn profiles when I talk to students, they've cropped out someone, or it's a photograph of themselves and a loved one, a pet, a family member. Ultimately, this is your professional identity. So you want to have a photograph that represents just you. And if you believe that maybe just showing your face is not enough, and you want to dress up for it, well, maybe I encourage you to dress up for the role and the job or the industry that you're looking to work in, because human beings will process images up to 60,000 times faster than they will process text. So have a great profile photograph. You don't have to go into a professional studio. Like I said, get a great headshot photograph taken from your phone and add that to your profile as it begins to tell the authentic story of who you are. Next, if you've already created a LinkedIn profile, one of the things I encourage you to start to go back and look at is maybe location, right? So on LinkedIn, you get an opportunity to state where you are. And some people I've seen in the past have made the mistake of putting in locations where they desire to work. So you have an aspiration to come and work in the US or work in the United Kingdom, etc., and you've put that as your location. I want you to understand that recruiters, when they're searching for talent, they will use the location field to try and find people within the jurisdiction or within the region or within the areas where they know people have the rights to work. So be open, be transparent about where you're currently located. And I'll show you during the course of the session how you can start telling the story of other locations you desire to work in. So location matters because we have up to 300,000 searches done every day based on the location of where those profiles are saying they're in. Number 3, we want to start talking about our strengths and talking about who we are as an individual. And as I said, it's a digital platform. It's dynamic. It doesn't have to be static. So the one place that I find myself constantly going back to refresh, to relook at is my About section. My About section on LinkedIn is where I have a brief opportunity to tell the story of who I am, what I do, why it matters, and what I'm looking to get out of this platform, the people I'm trying to connect with, the skills I'm trying to grow, the type of jobs that I'm going for as an individual. So your About section, for most of us, it's not easy to talk about ourselves in the professional context, but here's a pro tip for you. On LinkedIn, there are like-minded professionals that are already out there with great and dynamic profiles. So as you build out your About section and start telling your story, I encourage you to look at other people's profiles and see how they have phrased themselves in terms of the journey that they're on, the unique skills that they bring, the value that they bring, the impact they've had, and some of the results that they've brought when they've been in opportunities similar to the ones that you're going after. So definitely look at other people's profiles, maybe borrow a word or two. Like I said, right at the beginning, it's about authenticity. So you don't want to do an outright cut and paste of someone else's profile that does not represent yourself. Why? Because the people on LinkedIn, the people we're connecting with, are people we've studied with, people who know us, people who have interacted with us. And ultimately, we want to show what is right, what is correct, because it is a self-governing environment where people can call us out if we've not been sincere. Number 4, where you have studied. And this is important, especially now that we've got an audience that has studied at Strathmore. One of the things you want to make sure is that in terms of the school and the places where you've studied outside of Strathmore, you want to make sure that shows up on your LinkedIn profile correctly. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, on your profile, we want to ensure that when we say we've studied at Strathmore and we've put in the name of the school, that the school logo shows up on our profile. And this is absolutely critical and important, because what it does for us is that it starts us connecting with the alumni that have studied at our own school. After this session, I encourage you, of course, to go to Strathmore University's page on LinkedIn. You will see an alumni page there, an alumni tab. And that's important because when you're in the journey of looking for opportunities, you might want to reach out to people who have studied the same thing as you, who are living in the same location as you, who are currently gainfully employed in locations that you're in or locations you want to go to, and start using those alumni relationships to reach out to those individuals to understand what it takes to get those opportunities that we're looking for. So it's important that from our own personal profiles, that we are associated with the university correctly and that the logo is showing, and that when we are out there looking for opportunities, we leverage that alumni connection to start understanding the world of work that we're trying to enter into. So super important. If anything, I would encourage you to do after this session is make sure that the logo is showing and that it is that you've put in the full name of the school as they've represented themselves on LinkedIn so that you can be part of that alumni. Let's move on. Number 5, volunteer. When you volunteer, most of us, of course, do this in our personal time and do this outside of our studies and outside of the work that we've started on. It's super important for you to put in your volunteer experience, because what I've found when I've interacted with hiring managers, recruiters, etc., is that one of the things they've said is when we're hiring, we want to understand the person that we're hiring holistically. Oftentimes I've heard hiring managers say, I hire people that I can either do a long journey with, or I can be stuck at an airport with, or stuck in an elevator with. I want to know you holistically as a person. And knowing you holistically as a person on a professional platform is knowing the things that you're willing to do outside of, gaining money or monetary values. What are the things you're willing to do to make the working world, or to even make the world and society around us much better? So put in your volunteer experience, because it does matter in terms of telling the story of who you are outside of the professional identity and brand that you've presented on LinkedIn. So definitely go into your LinkedIn profile after this session and update your volunteer experience, because it begins to tell the holistic story of who you are. And who knows, when you're out there looking for a job and you've mentioned the fact that you're a member of, say, Talkmasters, or you're Red Cross, or you volunteered for Lions Club, or what other volunteer activities that you do, that could be the connection point with that hiring manager, because they've been on that journey. Or that organization, as part of its corporate social responsibility, already has initiatives around protecting wildlife, children, education, etc. That could be the point at which they begin to see how closely aligned you are to some of the values that they stand for as organizations. Next, our skills. So we have an opportunity on LinkedIn to highlight, and I encourage you to have at least a minimum of 5 skills that show your strength. On skills, when we put those skills, the people we are connected to on LinkedIn are going to be the people who will endorse us. And when they endorse us to say, yes, I have observed that skill in this particular individual, that begins to help the algorithms tell other people where your strengths lie as an individual. So as you acquire new skills, again, I encourage you to go back into your profile, update and add those skills, because the people we're connected to are going to be the ones that endorse us and tell the world that we actually have those skills. Earlier on, I mentioned recommendations. People will come onto LinkedIn and recommend you for certain skill sets. If you don't have any recommendations, well, the opportunity is there for you to seek recommendations from those you've worked with, partnered with, volunteered with, or those that you've engaged with in the past, where they can attest to some of those skills and some of those strengths that you bring into the world of work. So you can ask for recommendations, but I also encourage you to give recommendations, genuine recommendations to maybe a teacher who helped you grow into the position that you're in or take the career journey that you're on, a mentor, a coach. Because what happens ultimately is that, as we said, we want to make the job of the recruiter easy, is for them to be able to understand who have you interacted with in the past, what have they observed from you as an individual, what have they said about you, and thereby, again, help build your credibility. So don't just seek to get recommendations, also look to give recommendations about those who have helped you on your journey. What I encourage you to do is to keep it authentic, right? So what do I mean by authentic? Don't trade recommendations. It looks a bit cheesy. So what do I mean by trading recommendations is I'll write one for you if you'll write one for me. Doesn't bode well in terms of your professional identity. If someone genuinely wanted a recommendation from you, they would have reached out for it. As you reach out to people, I think it's also honest to say, I'm seeking this recommendation from you so it can help me build my professional credibility, but I'm not likely to be giving you a recommendation and in return, because it just looks like we've traded it off in terms of sharing recommendations. Last, we're in a global world. And in a global world, we need to again show how diverse we are as individuals or how we can adapt to different situations. So I believe that those of you invested in language skills, it's absolutely important for you to highlight some of those skills in speaking or communicating in different languages, because as the world of work continues to journey forward with the era of transformation that we're in, they're going to be seeking people who are able to communicate in multiple languages, in different geographies, in different communities. So it's important to show our diversity and to show, of course, the skills that we have across the language spectrum. Just want to stop there for a minute. I have been speaking, I think, well on 5 to 10 minutes. Just want to stop there and just check if there's any questions as we proceed with our session. Ivy? I guess there's no questions, or she's still muted. So I'm just going to carry on. Like I said, we're going to have time at the end of the session to really start looking at the questions that you have. I want to move on to networking. So who can you network with on LinkedIn? Earlier on, I'd mentioned the point that we want to be super intentional about the people we network with. For your profile to grow, or for you to get access to new economic opportunities, it's not about having thousands of followers or thousands of people connected with us. Ultimately, we want to connect up with people who are in positions or in roles or are currently working in industries that we care about. As I said earlier, these people that we connect up with can endorse us because they know us or they've experienced some of the services and products and some of the things that we can do as individuals. Those people that we're connected with, when they post on LinkedIn, that's what comes onto your news feed. So if we're randomly connecting to anyone and everyone, our news feed will be full of information that doesn't really help us. We want to ensure that as we network, we're networking with like-minded professionals. As we follow companies, we're following companies that are aligned to where our career aspirations lie. Because again, the content that's coming from those companies, as they post, because you're following them, that then comes into our newsfeed so that we have immediate access to the stories and the narratives, the challenges, the opportunities that they're sharing on LinkedIn. So it's important to be following the right people and following the organizations that we care about, or the organizations where we see ourselves having a fit. From a recruiter perspective, one of the things that recruiters and hiring managers have a look at is, of course, your interests, right? So the companies that you're following, they can have a quick snapshot, just like you can have a snapshot when you look up anyone on LinkedIn. You can see the types of companies those individuals follow. So you say you want to work in IT. When I look at your profile and I don't see you following like-minded IT companies or companies in the social media space, etc., I'm already beginning to make judgments about you as an individual. So it's important that our profiles speak volumes about us when we're not in the room, because decisions are made when you're not in the room. So your brand will speak for you when you're not there. And if we're not following organizations, institutions that matter to our professional journey, it's speaking volumes about us. If you're just beginning or you're still a student, some of the people you could look to connect up with are friends, family friends, professionals that you know, people that you've interacted with. Start following, of course, the university page itself, and start following those institutions and organizations that you care about. I spoke earlier on, of course, about the alumni feature that appears on the Strathmore page. You can go in as an individual after this session to start looking at who are the people who studied at this university and start reaching out to them. And as you reach out to them, my advice to you is not to shoot off an email or shoot off an email to say, hey, I'm looking for a job, how can you help me? Show genuine interest in those people. They're human beings. Get to understand, are they in a position to hire you? Are they a hiring manager? Chances are they're not. So you want to start understanding their career journey, start showing an interest in some of the content that they've been posting to understand a little bit more about the person before you have the right to ask and say, hey, I'm in the market, I'm looking for a job. Show genuine, authentic interest in an individual before asking for endorsement, before asking for them to recommend you for a job. I think this goes well in terms of serving you as you grow out your professional career journey. So definitely leverage the alumni to get informational interviews. What are informational interviews? In a nutshell, it's getting to understand that person, their organization, the challenges, the way that they measure results and impact, so that when you're ultimately given a chance and an opportunity to interview for the role, you have an understanding of that organization and the skills that it requires to work there and some of the things that they're grappling with. So definitely reach out to your alumni, or when you reach out to any other professional on LinkedIn, don't start off with a request for a job. Rather start off by genuinely showing an interest in that person, their career journey, their organization, and some of the challenges they might be experiencing as an organization before asking for a job. So that's my super pro tip there in terms of networking. We're going to have enough time to answer questions at the end of this session. In terms of job search, for those of you who are already graduated and are out there already looking for jobs, how you spend your time needs to be strategic in terms of applying for jobs, in terms of understanding where there are real opportunities that you believe you're best fit for. LinkedIn helps you with that. And the way we help you with that is, first of all, on your profile, again, like we said, going back to our profile, one of the things that you can indicate on your profile is the fact that you're open to work. This immediately puts a green bar underneath your profile photograph and already starts showing people from a visual perspective. Like we said, human beings will process images faster than they will process text, showing that you're open to work. And what's more, you have an opportunity on your profile, not only to say you're open for work, but you have a profile to actually put in details where you can say, here's the types of jobs that I'm looking for. These are the types of locations, and here's the type of work that I'm prepared to do, whether it's remote work, to migrate and move to a different location, or whether it's work that you're looking for that is based in the location that you're in right now. Our recruiters and our hiring managers that have access to the LinkedIn recruiter license will then get an opportunity to see some of those career aspirations that you have. So it's important that you leverage this open to work facility and that you go a step further to actually then go in and say the types of jobs, the types of work, work that you can do, and of course the locations that you're prepared to work in. So take the time to go in and activate your open to work and take the time to tell recruiters a little bit more about the journey that you're prepared to go on if you were to get an opportunity with them. On LinkedIn as well, you can, of course, search for jobs. And if I was to think as a student, why would I be searching for a job right now while I'm studying? You're searching for jobs to understand the type of vacancies that are out there, the types of skills that they're looking for, and also you're seeing the language that they're using to talk about those vacancies and those opportunities. Why is that important? Well, ultimately, when we're building our own profiles, we want to use language that is closely aligned to how these jobs are being described in the world of work. We don't want to just put in random text about our aspirations and the jobs that we have, but we want to use language that's for that industry, language that is associated with that skill, language that is associated with that functionality in the world of work. Because here's the reality. When our recruiters are searching for us, or when hiring managers are searching for talent, they'll use certain keywords or certain industry phrases from wherever you want to work to search and find people that have those skills. And we want to make sure that our profiles speak a language that is associated to their industry. Like I said, we want to keep it authentic. We want to be true to what we have, what skills we have, and what knowledge we have, and also be truthful to the areas where we're developing ourselves so that we can be closer and better aligned to those opportunities. So start looking at jobs that are on LinkedIn to understand the skills that are in demand and the way that companies are searching for people. And maybe leverage some of that data to start telling your own story. Talking about the job search on LinkedIn, yes, you can search, you find the job. First thing I would do is, of course, go a little bit deeper, understand that company, so follow that company. Number two, I'll then go in and see what type of people are currently employed with that organization that are doing a similar job. How have they shared their LinkedIn profiles? What are the things that they post? And start engaging with that type of content that they're putting out there as I start building up my own muscle in terms of how I'm going to present myself. Again, on the job side, when you search for jobs, you can actually save some of these job search, some of these searches that you're doing so that LinkedIn starts surfacing some of these job opportunities directly for you so that you can consider applying for them. In terms of, again, searching for jobs, LinkedIn provides you the opportunity under the jobs tab to prepare for interviews. I'm speaking ahead of myself, which is really the next slide, where we talk about how you now can start leveraging LinkedIn to start understanding how to prepare for interviews, how to answer common questions that are associated with interviews so that you're best prepared for it. Not only do we have an algorithm that allows you as an individual to test yourself, but of course you can download some of those questions and have some other seasoned professional take you through and maybe coach you through what would be more appropriate answers were you to be in front of an interviewer or recruiting manager when you're actually being interviewed. So we definitely are there to help you prepare. I talked earlier on about a resume, CV as it's called in other locations. On LinkedIn, you have the opportunity not only to build out your professional identity, specifying the skills, the education, the volunteer experience, the work experience that you've had. You also can then use the same LinkedIn profile to update and also download your own CV that you can be using for applying for opportunities. As we said, it's dynamic, it's real time. So if you're sending out CVs to organizations and you're struggling with how do I create a CV, well, we actually have a course on that. but you can actually download your own personal profile and use that as a PDF to submit as, of course, a document to represent yourself. It's important that as we present ourselves, as I said earlier on, that we're telling the story beyond the degree or the diploma program that we've invested in. And this is where the e-learning courses come into effect. As I said earlier, our recruiters, when they're searching for people, don't only search by degree program or diploma program, but they also search for people using keywords. So how are you telling the world that you're continuing to invest in yourself while you're in school, or now that you've exited out and you're alumni? How are you telling the world that you're developing the skills that are aligned to the opportunities that they're currently putting out there? So it's important for us to invest a little bit more time in terms of acquiring some of the hard and the soft skills that are relevant in the world of work today. LinkedIn itself has a learning platform. Some of the courses are free, and I'll be giving you links on some of those courses that are available for free. Ultimately, we would love to partner with the university so that we democratize learning and that everyone has access to the 17,000 plus courses that we offer on the platform. I encourage you, as you do those courses, some of them are short, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, as you do those courses, add them to your profile. Two things will happen. We're telling the story of the fact that we're continuing to invest in ourselves. And number two, as we add them to our profile, LinkedIn gives us an opportunity to share with the world what we have learned on that particular course. So maybe you've completed a course on time management, or you've completed a course on Bitcoin or encryption or whatever it is that you've invested in on the platform. You've added the certificate to your profile. You also have the opportunity to post about it. And when you post about it, I encourage people to always say, this is the course I've done. Here's the 3 things that I've learned that have meaningful impact for the IT industry in East Africa. So I'm landing the message of what I've learned to the community that I want to operate in, and to the community that I know I'm already connected on. And sometimes LinkedIn is generous enough that when you've completed those courses and you've shared those courses, they open up that course for your network. That's powerful. Nothing is more powerful than the gift of giving, right? And on LinkedIn, I believe that we all are there on the platform to engage, to excite, to empower, and also to help other people by enabling them to also grow themselves. So it's important that not only you do the courses for yourself, you add the certificate to your profile so that recruiters can find us, but that we share this opportunity with our network so that they grow in the journeys that they've been on. And if your profile's up to date, of course, it makes it easier for you to apply for roles. Most of us, like I said, interact with LinkedIn using our mobile devices. Maybe you're in transition, you're traveling, or you're out and about, you see a job that's out there. I encourage you, if your profile is up to date, to apply. And you can apply using our easy apply button on LinkedIn, which literally takes the data that you've updated on your profile, gives you an opportunity to change maybe 1 or 2 things and enter into that queue for that role. So making the job application process a lot easier than you would think. Let me stop there and check if we have any questions as we're about to get to the last 3 slides and open up Q&A. Do we have any questions so far, and are we pacing well?
Yes, we do. We have some questions.
Super. Give me one, and then we'll jump into our last 3 slides, and then we open it up.
So from Tesh, she's asked, who's asking, what's the difference between an endorsement and a recommendation?
Superb.
Can I ask you the 2 that they wanted to find out about? How do you get to learn the personalities of the people that you interact with? So for instance, prospective interviewers.
Okay, I have a short attention span. I'm like that. So I'm going to answer this one
First one.
first.
Yeah.
The first one, I'm going to answer the last question first because that's what's top of mind.
Uh-huh.
Getting to understand the personalities and the people that we're interacting with, of course, starts off by looking at their profiles, looking at some of the content they've shared, the experiences they've had, where they've volunteered, meaning the extracurricular things that they've done. Looking at the content that they're sharing ultimately tells us a story of what they care about, so that by the time we're reaching out to them, we have an understanding of the sort of things that they're interested in. Again, when you're searching for jobs or even searching for content, one of the best ways is looking at hashtags and things that people are using on a frequent basis to understand what really matters to them. From an organizational perspective, when we follow that organization, we're beginning to understand the things that they grapple with. And when we understand the things that they're grappling with, we can then do that reverse engineering and say, in this organization, who typically will be dealing with this issue? And again, go back, look at what content they post, start interacting with that content. You know, before even reaching out to someone, show a genuine interest in the things that they're posting or the things that they're talking about. Put in your own perspective and your own point of view. And then by the time you're reaching out to someone, they're actually quite familiar with you because you've been commenting or relating to some of the things that they've been sharing. Again, you can look for those professionals within groups that they've joined, right? And when you join those groups, again, you're getting a view of what are the things that they care about, so that you become a little bit closer in terms of understanding that personality. I hope that answers the question. Can I move to the second question, which was about skills and skills endorsements and recommendations? I can proceed.
Yes.
Okay, so on skills, like I said, you have an opportunity at a bare minimum to put in 5 skills that you believe you have. The people we are connected with are first degree connections. Sometimes you see on LinkedIn, when you post content, it will tell you there's a first degree connection, second degree. Don't get caught up in the technicality of it, but literally what it's saying is, if they're a first degree connection, it means you and I are both connected, right? Our second degree connections would likely be people that we are not connected with, but know other people that we're connected with. But taking it a step back, our first degree connections, because you're connected to them, likely know the skills that you have. So they will go onto your profile and they will go and endorse and say, I've observed these following skills in this person. And as you can see on your own profile, it'll show how many endorsements you have around certain areas, which starts telling the story of where your real strength and value lies in as an individual. Recommendations are different. Recommendations are people writing a short paragraph telling the story of where you've brought results and impact that matters to them. Recommendations are powerful in that you either have to request them, and when you have requested them and those people have given you a recommendation, it doesn't automatically go to your profile. It first comes back to you so that you can read through it, make sure that it's authentic and correct before adding it to your profile. So you still have that power of choice of what recommendations you want to show. Recommendations, like I said, we want to get recommendations from people that we've either done work with during our internship, where we've volunteered, or where we've actually taken up full-time jobs, or even those who have taught us or coached us or mentored us to the point where we are today. Because it tells the recruiter, first of all, this is what someone was prepared to write about you. Remember I said your profile is your brand speaking for you when you're not in the room. So they're beginning to see that testimony from other people about you. And they also have the opportunity to say, well, that's an interesting recommendation. Who is this person who's giving the recommendation? How senior are they, or how close are they to the industry or the sector that we care about, so that they can weight and value that recommendation? And with recommendations, like I said, you also have the opportunity to write a recommendation to someone. My encouragement for you is that when you're seeking recommendations, is maybe to jog the memory of the person you're requesting the recommendation from. What do I mean? Maybe during your time at Strathmore, you participated in a student program and you want a recommendation from the head of faculty. Now, you know the head of faculty, the dean, or whoever it is you're seeking the recommendation from, meets millions or thousands of students on a daily basis and might not recall who you are as an individual. So when I seek out recommendations, I start off by saying, hey, how you doing? This is who I am. I worked on this particular project for the university 2 years back, where I was in charge of finance, and I helped with that particular project to help save the university X amount of money or whatever it is that you helped with. I'm now asking you to please recommend me on LinkedIn. Below, I've put in some key context, or at least I've put in some text that you can either use, maybe they can cut and paste it, or I would say to them, I've put in some key points around what it is that I brought as results and impact. Please feel free to add your tone to it. What it does is that you're making it easy for the person to recommend you. You've reminded them of who you are, when the activity took place, and you've specifically said the skills or the experience that you want them to highlight on your profile. Because when you just click the button that says request recommendation and you don't go into the detail, they can't really remember you. So chances are some people won't respond and you'll get frustrated, or you're making it hard for them to actually contextualize what it is that you did or what it is that you brought as value. So make it easy for them when you're reaching out for recommendations by reminding them the value and the key areas that you want them to put in as a recommendation. And as I said, that recommendation will come back to you first as an individual. You're free to then say, oh, I see you made a spelling mistake, or I think you've embellished the truth here a little bit, or I'm happy with it, and you add it to your profile. So that's skills and endorsements, which only come from our first degree connections. So we want to genuinely connect with people who can endorse us. And then on recommendations, that is really reaching out to people outside of our network and asking them to, or in our network and outside of our network, to give us a written testimony about ourselves, or we are providing one about them. Remember, like I said, people want to understand you holistically. If I see that you've received 10 recommendations and you've never given one, what does that tell me about the type of personality and person you are and how you will behave when you join us as an organization? So ultimately, you want to make sure that you're showing that as much as you're willing to receive, you're also willing to give. So show yourself up as a good collaborator by also recommending those who genuinely have helped you in your career. All right, so let's move on and let's talk now. We've talked about why we're on LinkedIn. We've talked about how to build a great profile, how to network, how to prepare for jobs, how to search for those jobs and to get alerts on those jobs. Now let's move on and start talking about how you can use LinkedIn to stay up to date with what matters in your industry and in your sector. Like I said, it starts off first with the people we're connected with. It's not a popularity contest. So it's not about getting thousands of followers following us and that will help our algorithms. No, it's not about that. Genuinely, we want you to connect with people that matter to you and your professional journey. So first way you're going to stay up to date is by following like-minded professionals. Number two, I talked about joining groups on LinkedIn. Join groups for the industry, for the areas that you have an interest in, and frequently go into those groups and those communities to hear what people are talking about, to hear about the challenges they have. I often look at LinkedIn as a free business advisory board. So even as you're grappling with certain situations, you can go into a group for like-minded professionals and pose a hypothetical question and say, just wanted to know, has anyone else encountered this challenge? How did you resolve it? Or maybe, here's the challenge that I have in this particular sector. Here's 3 things that I think are critical to solve this issue. What do you think? And you'll find there'll be thousands of professionals in those groups that might add onto some of those ideas that you have, or might challenge you, or might help you grow a certain skill or muscle that will help you stand out when you're out there looking for jobs. Hashtags are super important, of course, on every single social media platform, but this is a professional platform. So which hashtags are associated with the jobs in the industry that you care about, and are you following them? Because we want this to come into our newsfeed so that we're continuously updated about the things that we care about. So hashtags, I'll be saying that'll be also important for you in terms of following. LinkedIn, of course, always has events that are hosted by companies and by individuals. That's another great way for you as an individual to keep yourself up to date with what matters in your sector. So I encourage you, as well as not only attending live events when you meet people in person, but also to join into the virtual events to get an understanding of the things that are changing within that particular area that you care about. And speaking about staying up to date or even connecting or networking in the real world as we exit out of this COVID era, did you know your LinkedIn profile is your business card? Yes, you're a student. Yes, you're an alumni. Yes, you're an entrepreneur. Don't have a business card right now. You've met someone that's super important, someone that can help you. You can grab your phone as you meet that person and say, are you on LinkedIn? Yes, you are. How about we connect right now? And make that connection request as you're facing that person. And on LinkedIn, we give you a QR code. We don't have time to go into it right now, but just by showing your QR code, someone can connect up with you. Because oftentimes in the real world, even if I was to present someone with a business card, they'll put it in their wallet, they'll put it in their pocket or handbag, wherever they put it. A couple of weeks later, they're looking through and they're going, who is this person and how do I know them? But with a LinkedIn profile, and the fact that we're now connected, you're able to see who I am, what I do, what impact I've had, what results, what aspirations that I have, and be able to recall when we met and how and why we should continue the conversation going forward. So your LinkedIn profile is ultimately your business card. And this speaks to those who are entrepreneurs. On LinkedIn, you're getting the opportunity to tell the story of, here's the startup that I'm working on. Here's the products and services and solutions that we offer. And not only am I doing that, I'm also able to share videos, rich media, etc., that are a testament of the things that I'm going to provide or that I do provide. So it becomes almost like your website and a great place for people to get an understanding of what value you can bring through products, services, or solutions. So if you're an entrepreneur, definitely I would say, look, before even investing on a website, because nobody wakes up in the morning and goes www.stewartsamkange.co.ke. No, they don't. They wake up and look at LinkedIn because they're looking at people they've studied with, people they work with, people they partner up with, and then while they're there, they're going to be able to find that content that is relevant to what I'm offering as a solution, product, or service. So knowing that that's the behavior of human beings, you want to make sure that there's the best representation of you, your organization, what you offer, and you're meeting people where they're going automatically, not to your website, but onto LinkedIn, because they're also looking for opportunities to partner, to network, to hire, or even get a job with you. E-learning. So how do you continue to invest in yourself? Like I said, LinkedIn, of course, not only being the platform where people can go in and find jobs or look for talent, we're using some of that intelligence to understand the skills that are in demand. And as I said earlier on, it's important to make learning a lifelong journey, continuously investing in yourself. And on LinkedIn, like I said, we have curated over 17,000 courses that speak to business, creative skills, and technology skills that are in demand right now. So as you invest in those courses and start doing the courses, completing the courses, adding the certificates to your profile, sharing that with your network and giving them equal access to opportunity, these courses will all help in terms of when recruiters are searching for you. And our courses, of course, help you prepare for professional certifications. So whether they're business, creative, or technology courses that you're going through, we provide a platform where you're able to acquire the continuous educational units that build you up to become either certified project manager, certified human resource professional, certified network engineer. Those courses, through our partnerships, by doing them, you will acquire the units that are required for you to be recognized as a professional. Ultimately, what we are looking for at LinkedIn is to democratize learning. By democratizing learning, what do I mean? I mean today, some of you have probably seen requests from LinkedIn or opportunities from LinkedIn to invest in our premium account. The LinkedIn premium account is a personal upgrade that you would take where you then have access to these courses. The premium account, of course, also lets you have insights when you're applying for jobs or looking at jobs. It'll say, hey, this particular job that's been advertised has been up for 4 days. There's 7 people that have applied. 6 are from this part of the world. 6 have this MBA, some have doctoral, they have PhDs, etc. You'll get insights so that and it's lastly, one other insight it will say to you is that based on how this job was posted, you have the X number of skills that are aligned to it. Out of these 10 skills they're looking for, you have these 6 skills. So what does it do for you? It's letting you know whether to apply for the role or not, whether to go back and update your profile because certain skills are not showing up, or whether you're best placed for that opportunity so that you're applying for jobs where you stand a really good chance of getting it. Nothing is more frustrating than applying for loads of jobs and never getting a response. So what I encourage you to do, those who have premium accounts, is to leverage those insights to understand the jobs. The alternative is that, of course, as an institution, Strathmore can invest in LinkedIn Learning for all students and even for all our alumni, so that you have access to this learning platform that will then build up your skills in creative technology or business skills, so that when you are preparing for jobs, you have the opportunity to do the courses that are aligned to those roles so that you show up better as an identity or as a brand on LinkedIn. I want to really try and summarize some of the things that I've spoken about. And as you can see on the slide, there are links that will be attached to this document when you do receive it, in terms of how to build your profile, how to go out there and start networking professionally, how to do your job search, and how to also leverage some of the tools that LinkedIn has built into the platform to help you prepare for interviews. Of course, in terms of applications, like I said, if your profile is up to date, LinkedIn makes it easier for you to apply for roles just based on your profile without having to do a separate CV resume document. So keep your profiles up to date. Like I said, LinkedIn is a great place for us to get knowledge about our industry, our sector, things that we care about. Use the LinkedIn newsfeed to understand what matters, use it to inform yourself, use the things that you're seeing on that newsfeed to comment, to engage, to start building up communications with those in that sector so that you become hard to ignore. And lastly, I encourage you, of course, as an individual level and also as an institutional level, to start looking at some of the courses on LinkedIn Learning, because these are related to the skills and the things that are in demand in the world of work. So continue to invest in yourself. And then if you've done that, you can go out there, find, or better yet, be found by recruiters and hiring managers, and then get hired on LinkedIn, whether you're an individual or ultimately as an entrepreneur. That's what I had to present for you today. I'm going to stop sharing and, of course, open up for Q&A if we still have time for that. All right, I won't be able to see the questions. I'm going to be counting on my moderator to ask those questions. So let me know, what questions do we have and how much time we have to answer these questions?
So we have about 20 minutes. So thank you for the great insights, so much information. I think my key takeaway is to be authentic, even as you look out for opportunities through LinkedIn. the need to be authentic, and to also use the platform for more than just looking for an opportunity. Yeah. Then in terms of questions, we have one where I think it's Rose who's asking, how can you edit your profile to include another university? I attempted using the edit button, included details and clicked the save button, but it didn't work. So maybe there's a technical hitch. Can I ask one at a time?
Yeah, sure. That'll be great. Rose, I'm sorry you had that challenge. Maybe just refreshing your browser experience or even your mobile phone. Maybe that could be the challenge. But definitely, what I encourage you, say you're adding in another institution or you're adding in even Strathmore, is that you click, of course, a little pencil button, which allows you to edit your profile around schools. And then as you click that, start typing out the word Strathmore. You don't have to type it all in complete, because here's the thing, Strathmore has a presence on LinkedIn. The other educational institutions you went to will have a presence on LinkedIn. What you want to make sure is that you're identifying with the way that they have identified themselves on the platform. So if you start typing out Strathmore, you will see that the LinkedIn algorithm will pop out organizations or schools that have the word Strathmore in it. And then you choose the appropriate one and add it to your profile, and that shouldn't be a challenge. Next one.
Sure. Let me see. Would you please recommend the key skills recruiters use? Maybe a better question or another question would be, what are the recruitment trends currently?
Oh, we could go into a whole hour on that one. And this is why we're partnering up at an institutional perspective, because typically the way I work is working through career services and your alumni office. They will then get access to what we call talent insights, and talent insights will allow them to look at the whole LinkedIn data. So companies, skills, industries, locations, etc., and be able to say, right, you are journeying into the world of IT. Let's look specifically in East Africa or in Kenya or around the world, what jobs are currently available, what are the skills those industries are looking for, how long do people last in those organizations? Because again, it tells you the talent mobility and the chances and the opportunity for you to actually get those opportunities. So we provide at an institutional level a degree of data and insights that will help them tell you the story of which companies in Kenya are hiring, or not just Kenya, globally, which ones have remote work, what skills they're looking for, and of course, help you now in terms of preparing for those opportunities. Off the top of my head, I know there's a number of skills that are currently in demand across East Africa and Kenya in particular. Most of them are IT related. Some of them are to do with green technologies and of course, sustainment of the world, but there are opportunities across all industrial sectors. Again, when we think about jobs and opportunities, yes, we've studied a particular area in our career so far as we've gotten through school, but it's then also to come out to our career services officers or the alumni office and say, well, this is what I studied, what opportunities are there, and how do I re-engineer and position myself for these areas that I might have not had as top of mind. So from an institutional perspective, that's where we partner up with your career services and with your alumni office. They will have real-time insights that you will be able to go back to them and say, this is where I'm at, this is the opportunities I'm looking at, these are the companies. Tell me if I'm correct. And they will have access to real-time data that will then say, maybe you need to change your perspective, maybe you need to grow this particular skill. These are how the opportunities are currently looking today, because it's real-time data.
Okay, great. Let me see. So this is from Irene. Let me see. If I choose to unfollow a follower, does LinkedIn by any chance notify them?
No, we don't actually notify people that you've chosen to unfollow them. And well done for asking that question. Like I said, we ultimately want to be intentional about the people that we're following or people that we're connected with. And maybe that actually brings out a good point. So you're applying for a job, you're looking for a job. You've got two choices when you see the people that that are likely to hire you or the people that inspire you, industry captains, etc. You have a choice to reach out to connect, that's one-on-one, or you can choose to follow someone. And when you follow them, you get to see, of course, the content that they're posting. Connection usually requires the other person to say, yeah, I genuinely know this person and I will connect up with them. As we now go back after this session and start cleaning up the people that we follow, the people we're connected to, as we choose to unfollow other people, LinkedIn doesn't notify them that you've chosen to unfollow or to not connect up with them. So don't worry about that. But like I said, it pays us a world of good to be following people that can employ us, people that inspire us, people that are in areas or sectors that we care about. We start consuming their content, and not only consuming, interact with them. Like I said, LinkedIn is about engagement, right? So if I'm going to eventually reach out to the person and I've never had an interaction with them, it's going to be difficult. But if I've been engaging with the things they're posting and I've been also putting in my own perspective, my own point of view, I become top of mind. To be honest with you, the last 3 jobs that I've had, including coming to LinkedIn, have not been because I've applied for the roles, but because I've been engaging on content that others have shared. I've also been sharing my own perspective. I've been sharing the things that I've learned on the platform to enable the communities where I want to work in. So I find that that on its own allows your brand. So people used to say this thing about it's about who you know, but it's about who knows you in this new world. And I think when we're preparing for this session with Ivy, I said one of the things that's a horrible quote to hear, but is the reality is that in this digital era that we're in, your ability without visibility is an inability. Did you hear me? Your ability without visibility is an inability. If people don't know about you, how are they going to find you? And if you just go out there and create a profile and sit back and say, oh, well, jobs will start coming to me, you're going to be sitting for a long time. So it's not just about creating a profile. It's about sharing content. It's about enabling people. It's about engaging people. It's about exciting people about what is possible. It's about authentically telling the story of the things that you're grappling with, the journey that you've been on. And you might sit back and say, well, Stewart, what is it? What's the journey? What can I share? So in the professional context, you can share authentically things that you've struggled with. Maybe it's even how you ended up at Strathmore, how your parents raised fees for you to be going to Strathmore as an institution and what you've learned from it and how you've applied it. Maybe it's about that little startup. You were selling Mutumba, for example, and then that failed. What did you learn from it? You learned that you needed process, you needed capital, you needed to have technology to support you, you needed to interact with people, you needed to be dynamic on pricing and dynamic on negotiation skills. All of that genuinely engages people. Remember, it is a professional platform, but ultimately at the end of it, there are human beings on the other end that may have gone through the same journey that you've gone through. And as you post content on LinkedIn, remember, it's not like the other social media platforms where we're ultimately looking for thousands of likes and reshares and retweets. Sometimes you might find you're posting content at the beginning and no one's interacting with it. I've realized professionals are different, right? So they, again, are not always quick to click the like button, but LinkedIn shows you that there are people viewing that content. And those people who are viewing and those who are interacting with your content, it shows you how you're connected to them or how you're not connected to them, and that maybe you should reach out and connect with them. So what I would encourage you to do beyond just creating this great profile is to engage with other people's content and to share your own content, your own perspective, leverage those hashtags, leverage the groups that you're in, so that ultimately you become a brand that's too hard to ignore. Like if we think about, of course, as we leave Strathmore University today, we're going to see billboards everywhere about maybe mobile companies that are advertising themselves. that does not make you go out and buy airtime or data bundles. However, when the day and the opportunity arises and you're looking to build a fiber optic or to get fiber Wi-Fi services into your organization, chances are you're going to recommend that company or that brand that has been top of mind. So if LinkedIn is this platform where every minute we're getting 3 new people joining it, how are you standing out as an individual? It's not just by having a profile, but it's by sharing content. It's by engaging with other people's content, participating in groups, joining those events that are happening so that you become top of mind. I hope that answers the question.
I hope so too. So I'll quickly run through the questions, maybe 1 or 2 more. Rebecca is asking, do you become a certified program manager, for example, when you finish the learning curve and do an assessment to the collaborating university, and do you get a certificate?
Yeah, so every course you complete on LinkedIn Learning, you're going to get a certificate, and that you're going to get continual educational units. Some of those will host the exams on LinkedIn, or you would go to that body and eventually get your certification. But all of the investments that you're making in learning will ultimately lead to certification.
And Sylvia would like to find out what advice you have for someone looking for a remote job through LinkedIn.
Again, with remote jobs, like I said, from a partnership perspective, we're looking to partner with the university to give them access to insights and data that will help them also identify where remote work is. But individually, at a personal level today, I would encourage you, of course, 1, to say you're open for work. And under the open for work facility on LinkedIn, you're able to highlight, of course, that you're willing to do work that is remote or to migrate to locations where you can actually do that work. So definitely tell your story. And again, as you share content on LinkedIn, make that part of your narrative, right? And again, search by hashtags. You will find that on LinkedIn, there are other professionals that work for LinkedIn and outside of LinkedIn that give tips on how to get those remote work opportunities. Again, with the insights we'll provide to the university, they will be able then to say, these are the jobs that are out there that are available for remote workers. And then you can be more intentional and direct in terms of applying for those specific organizations that are looking for that skill to work from your current location, but service organizations outside of your location. So it all really starts with your own personal profile, how you've presented yourself, your research into how other professionals are finding remote work, but most importantly is, of course, the data and insights the university will have to share with you from a career services perspective that will allow you now to be more intentional about the institutions, organizations, and the type of work that is currently available for remote. And of course, on LinkedIn Learning, there's a full course on how to apply for remote work.
Okay, Baka has, I hope I'm saying the name right. Baka has their hand up. I'll ask them to unmute and ask their question.
I wanted to ask about a program that I saw some few years back. There is a friend of mine who, when he was still on campus, he was a LinkedIn campus ambassador. And I've never had a chance to ask him how he became one, but I've always been interested by programs that can allow me to enhance my experience as a student. And being someone who is very active on LinkedIn, I wouldn't mind being one for my university. So I wanted to know if the program is still working, and if yes, how can someone become a campus ambassador?
Okay, super. We call it the Learning Champions program now. So it's a championship program where when we're in partnership with your university, of course, we go through a process of identifying key people within the university that will champion the partnership, that will speak to other students like yourselves in terms of here's the facilities that are available on LinkedIn, here's the things that will help people find jobs and help really mentor people through their journey on LinkedIn. We're about to enter into a partnership with Strathmore University, and definitely this is one of the programs we'll be running because, again, we've found that, of course, like anything else that's social, you need to really bring it down to grassroots where we have, of course, students speaking to other students and being able to be relatable in terms of the opportunities, how to go after them, and how to assist other people. So currently, the program is not running for Strathmore, but definitely one of the things that we're evaluating with Strathmore so that we can get some champions in place that will help other students. So yes, and yes.
All right, thank you. And how soon do you think that program can be implemented in Strathmore?
Well, as soon as we enter into a partnership, and of course, we got Ivy, we got Janet, we got Anita on this call, we are having discussions. That's one of the things that we're looking at, and they will be the ones to make the announcement. From a LinkedIn perspective, we're ready as of now.
So basically, is the one who can make Ivy is the one who can make that program be implemented in Strathmore.
So like I said, we typically will be in a partnership where we build up programs for the university. We identify people like yourself that are keen to participate in the program, and then we bring it to life. So we're at the stage now where from an institutional perspective, Strathmore and LinkedIn are coming together and form that partnership. And then they will announce to you guys that, yes, we have access to the learning platform. We have access to the data and insights to support you. And we are getting now student champions. And there'll be a recruitment process for that. People will be identified. And like I said, we're ready to launch today.
Thank you, Labon. Thank you for your questions. I think we have 6 minutes. Any other questions? I know that there's one.
All right.
Let me see.
Just as you're getting that up, remember what I'm going to be providing is this presentation. It will have links to some of the courses that we can provide that'll go more into depth on remote work, job applications, job searches. Again, you'll find some of the courses and content will be related to even managing your emotional well-being. Job hunting is not an easy thing. And that's why LinkedIn has invested in things like, how to prepare for interviews, questions you'll be asked, etc. All of that is to help you strategically choose the right opportunities to apply for, and that you're not randomly applying for every job out there. This is to help you make good use of your time applying for roles where you genuinely stand an opportunity to get access to those opportunities. So take the time to go through some of those courses, which might be soft skills that are there to help you manage your own personal well-being, because tarmacking or job hunting is not that easy, and it can be a what's the word? It can be taxing on you as an individual. So there are things that are there to help you. Again, joining groups on LinkedIn, you'll find groups for, again, job seekers. You'll find groups for people that are professionally employed. Like I said, reach out to people, show a genuine interest to say, how did you end up at LinkedIn? How did you end up in this role? What skills did you have? What will help me stand out? And that part of all of that is to help you enter into the job market with now relevant information or an understanding of what it means to work there or to partner up with them.
Thanks, Stewart, for that. I see Livingston Odera here. Let me unmute.
Hey, Livingston. Happy Friday.
Hi, Stewart. Glad to meet you here. I think we met back in SPS in 2016. So
good to
actually,
reconnect.
yeah. So I had a question about the LinkedIn algorithm, because I noticed your algo tends to push most of the content that has some specific tags. I think you introduced the tagging component, and I wanted to know more because I'm in the fintech sector, and most of the time when you post using the tags, really the audience widens as opposed to just posting with general content. And then two is with regards to the billing process. How is LinkedIn embracing fintech? Because I wanted to know the transparency around it and how I can capitalize maybe on the premium account if I opt for it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the first thing is, of course, the use of hashtags. Those are super important because for those searching for information, opportunities, or finding out on a particular topic, the hashtag then makes it surface more. And of course, it helps you also find who else is posting content that is related to that area that you have interest in. So definitely hashtags work. And of course, we had some hashtags today. I'm going to ask Ivy to share those with us before we exit out of this. By the way, Ivy, in the meantime, if you can please start running the poll as we answer these questions. Please, people, feedback is what helps us improve, or helps me personally improve when I'm hosting sessions like this. So I'm asking everybody who on it, please just give us some honest and genuine feedback so that ultimately we can improve. So hashtags are super important when you're looking for information. Hashtags are super important when you're sharing content and you want a particular audience to understand what it is you're posting around that particular topic. In terms of the LinkedIn Premium account, and I want to be clear about this, the LinkedIn Premium account is something that you can choose as an individual today to say, okay, I want to get a premium account because one, I want to get access to the learning platform. I want to have insights about jobs. Like I said, you'll be able to see this job here. These are the number of people that have applied. These are the locations. And it also tells you that based on your profile, this is where you stand in terms of suitability for that role. And you can choose to then make the option of either updating your profile, acquiring the right skills, or choose not even to apply, because what we want is for you to apply for roles where you think you're best suited for. In terms of expanding that learning capability, we're saying that from an institutional perspective, we're partnering up with Strathmore, not yet done, but work in progress, partnering up so that you can have access to this learning content holistically. Again, as part of that, we're partnering up with the institution so that they will now have those insights as career services, as the alumni relations office, to assist you in your journey. Those will be real-time insights of where those jobs and opportunities exist. Currently, from a fintech perspective, payments are made directly to LinkedIn. We don't have a channel or a partner program in Africa or around the world where people resell our technologies and make them available. So we have a one-to-one partnership perspective. We have a one-to-one facility that is available there. So it's you partnering up directly with LinkedIn, or better yet, it's where Strathmore takes that step to then get access to these facilities and make them available to our audience and our community. I hope that helps answers the question, Livingston.
Thanks so much.
Super, guys. We've got the poll running in the background. Please, I encourage you to take a few seconds. We've only got 6 questions on the poll. Be authentic about how you felt about this session. Of course, it will help us grow. But I see Rose has got her hand up.
Hi, Stewart and everyone. Thank you. That was quite insightful. I've learned a lot. My question was with regard to the free courses. I just saw somewhere in a slide you had Excel and Python. So I just wanted to find out Excel, Python, financial modeling, are those free, or is there a list? Can I like hashtag find out which ones are free, which ones do I have to join the premium account to take up? Is there anything like that that I can just Google and find out somewhere, or you can provide us with a listing?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the pandemic that we all went through, and hopefully it's over and done with, LinkedIn provided, and you can search for this right now, it's opportunity.linkedin.com, opportunity.linkedin.com. linkedin.com. We provide courses and content courses that are made free every single second month or so. Again, I post about some of the content that we've opened up for free. Like I said, there's over 17,000 courses that we have available on LinkedIn, and we make some of those free from time to time and make them available. Ultimately, my desire and my best wish is for the institution to invest in these from an institutional perspective, rather than you as individual students going out to invest in them. There's definitely some business benefit and of course some financial benefit to you as a student if the institution makes these available to you rather than asking you to get it out of pocket. So you will get access to these slides where you'll get those links which will show you some of the courses that are made available. I don't have a list in the top of my head, but if right now you are inspired and you're ready to go for those opportunities, definitely go into opportunity.linkedin.com. And not only that, I'm encouraging every person who's participated in this session, not only to fill out the questionnaire, the feedback poll that we're running right now, but I'm encouraging you, I'm imploring you to today or tomorrow to share what you've learned in this session. Remember, I said LinkedIn is about engagement. It's about empowering and educating other people. It's about exciting other people about the opportunities. You definitely today learned something new. What are you going to share on LinkedIn? And as you share it on LinkedIn, are you using the hashtags of the day that we have shared and that Ivy will share again? Are you using those so that your content can start surfacing and you're helping other people? You know, educating other people is probably the most powerful way that you're going to grow your brand. Every single day, each and every one of us gets an opportunity to be a student or to be a teacher. Maybe not in the classroom, but in the real world. So as you go through those experiences, think about it yourself and say, what is the professional learning I can get out of this experience or this incident or something that has happened in my life? How can I share it in a succinct manner with my professional network? Because as you share and you share those authentic things, other people will engage with you. Others might not choose not to engage with you, but might read that content and you remain top of mind for them. You want your brand to represent you when you're not in the room. And as we build out our profiles, I often go to my favorite author, Maya Angelou, one of my favorite authors, where she said, people will forget what you say. People will forget what you did, but people will not forget how you made them feel. So how are you putting a human side to your profile, to your content? How are you doing that? Because that's bringing about that emotional feeling of who you are to the world at large. So when you're curating content or you're sharing content, keep that humanness alive. Post on a frequent basis. Don't be chasing the likes or the reshares, etc. Those are great. They will help and they will come with time. But understand that the audience on LinkedIn, the professional audience, might be slightly different. It's not about getting the likes. It's not about having thousands of followers, but it's also about remaining relevant by sharing things that people care about. People will want to relate with that and will now start following you. And when opportunities arise, you will be top of mind.
Thank you, Stewart. Thank you so much. In terms of today's hashtags, it's hashtag SU LinkedIn, hashtag get hired, and hashtag build your profile. So hashtag SU LinkedIn, hashtag get hired, and hashtag build your profile. So I hope that we'll take some action this weekend. We have the whole weekend to start off on the journey. As soon as we do a bit of editing on the video, we're going to send it out and you have a point of reference. So I think we can let you jump off. We're now at 2:39, so slightly 10 minutes over. And I think we have a very good percentage in terms of the response from the poll. And yeah, can let you go.
Thank you very much. It's been an amazing session for me, just getting to hear some of your feedback. So thank you very much to everybody who participated. Hopefully we can all connect up on LinkedIn. Hopefully we can all start inspiring and encouraging and engaging others. You know, other students who didn't participate in this session. So definitely when you share and you start helping other people, that really definitely builds up your experience muscle on how to use the platform. So please take action today, tomorrow, or on Monday. Start engaging other people, encouraging other people, and of course, begin to build out your dynamic profile so that you get access not only to jobs, also to entrepreneurial opportunities and other opportunities that come from this platform where all the world's professionals are gathered.
Thank you so much, Stewart. And thanks for everyone who joined the session today. We look forward to implementing all that we have learned today. We are working on the partnership and we'll update everyone when we have something concrete. So thank you so much.
Asante.